Hey guys, today I'll be teaching you how to color your anime hair. So in order to do that, I will draw an anime face for you. Since there's so many styles, you can't just start throwing lines all willy-nilly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to indicate his forehead should be around here, and the top of his head should be around here, where his hair will be. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just start throwing some hair. I'm giving him side bangs that go all the way down to his nose. Now this is obviously a little different from your typical anime hair. Of course, I like to change it up a little bit. Because there's so many styles of hair out there. You can't define one into one video. I'd have to make a video about 3 different styles that are all similar, or something around those lines. I'm not quite sure what type of hair I want to draw. But the best way to get your hair down is try to find hair that's you like or you think would be cool. The best way is actually finding reference online. Find a picture of a person do you think would look cool in anime, or just their hair at least. One thing you don't want to do is make the hair puff out too far from the head, because it would look really weird if his hair all of a sudden was way out here. Because I know, well, when I started drawing, I used to look at pictures of anime and actually try to mimic every single strand. And sometimes I would get the distance wrong, or would have the same amount of strands on both sides, but the hair would be puffed out way too far. So to avoid that, I started making my own strands, based off of the anime style at least, and it worked out fine for me. Here I'm just showing his forehead just a little bit. He doesn't look like a happy person. Maybe next time I'll show someone smiling. Alright. Okay, so when you get to this stage, when you have all of the hair down, if you're going to be coloring with markers, which I'm going to be showing you in this video, maybe in the future when I get better at colored pencils, I'll show you how I color with colored pencils. I'll just show you how I do it with markers, because I'm so used to markers. So what I like to do is, I like to ink with my Sakura micron pens, just to make sure, because whenever you use pencil with markers, like let's say Copic markers, or even Artist Loft markers, they tend to blend in with the pencil, and you'll get like really like a muddier color than what you really wanted from the marker, and plus it'll make the pencil permanent on the paper, which you don't really want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink this up real quickly. Alrighty, these are my colored markers. I only have 24 colors in the Artist Loft brand. And I have 6 markers in Copic. That's all I have for markers. The only way I can really make new colors is trying to blend in. Yeah, I think I'm going to make this guy's hair red. So what I like to do is I like to make a two-tone markers, which I'll use a bright red with a darker red, and this will be the normal color, and this will be in shadow, and that helps the hair pop out more. Now what I like to do before using the markers is I like to color the skin, so I will quickly color his face with my Copic markers. So, as you guys have probably noticed, I really like contrast in my drawings. I think contrast is amazing in drawings. It makes your drawing pop out more, and it makes it look a little more effective. I really screwed up right there, so don't mind that. I know I screwed up on the nose. Before I start coloring in his hair, what you want to do is start off with the lightest color. You always start off with the lightest color and try to figure out where you want your highlights. So you can either draw in your highlights with your marker, as in not coloring at all and just leaving that to the white of the page, or you can buy a separate tube of, this is a Winsor & Newton white gouache. What you can do is just open up the tube. What I like to do is I like to get a little container and I put water in there, and then I put the gouache on the cap. What I do is I dip my paintbrush into the water and just slowly add it to the gouache till I have a really nice mixture. And then what I do is I just apply it to the drawing. But I won't do it this drawing. For those people who don't have white gouache, I will show you how to do it normally. And it's actually quite simple. You just make a bunch of jagged edges with your markers, and voila, you got some highlights. Just need to be careful about it. Now, there's a good technique to coloring in. If you don't have the marvelous Copic markers, some other markers, you'll have a little trouble when trying to color in. I'm grabbing sheets of paper so that I can protect the other side. Oh no! Oh, it's too late. Okay, I was trying to protect this piece of paper from the marker going through, but that's too late now. I'll just put it behind that one. As I was saying, what you want to try to do is not overlap too much with your marker. Because once your marker's already down, if you go over it again, you'll have a little bit of a darker shade. And that's hard to keep consistent, especially on a drawing. I mean, hair, you want to try to make it look as consistent as possible. With clothes and stuff, you can get away with going with the grains, like if you're drawing jeans or something. But hair is a little different. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw in my mind a little bit of a highlight going through his head or his hair, and when someone is looking directly at you like this, or even if they're in a different angle, trying to get kind of like a U shape on their hair, and you need to follow that little bit of a U shape, or it could be a different shape. Whatever shape works for you. You can just look up reference or whatever. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by drawing in right here. And you want to be pretty loose about it. You want to make jagged edges, make it not look machined, which can be very difficult. Even I have trouble with that. Right now I think I'm having a little bit of a trouble. But that's okay. That's why you need to practice. Or anyone needs to practice. I need to practice. Practice makes perfect, right? Copic markers, they're really nice with this kind of stuff. They're very good at getting consistent color shades down, where they don't overlap and make something look darker than it really is, or make it look too light. The only time that'll actually arise, like that problem will arise, would be when your Copic marker actually starts running out. And to tell when your Copic marker starts running out is grab it. It'll even feel a little lighter than the other markers. And you open it up. Oh, you want to go to the brush side. And when you start hearing a little bit of a squeak, for some reason this one's not doing it. Oh no, because this is the one I use the most. When you start getting a squeak, or right there, inconsistent colored marks, they start to look a little streaky. That is when your marker is running out. And yeah, I need to definitely fill up my E00 marker along with probably a new tip, and the tip even looks a little dried out as well, so keep that in mind. Now to continue on, when you go along with the highlight, you want to make sure when it gets to this point it's around the same height as the ending of this highlight, so you want to make sure that it stays around there. You don't want to make it look a little inconsistent. And you can even get, if you even go up way too high, because I did right there a little bit, you can get away with going back down, because it's just a highlight. Uh-oh, I went a little off the bounds there, but that's fine. And then after you get your highlights, just color everything in. Try to go along with the flow of the hair. Like, I don't recommend doing this, because one, you might accidentally go out of the lines, and two, it doesn't look very elegant when it dries up and you go over it again. It'll look like a cross-hatching kind of. So try to go along with the strands like so. Same applies to when you're coloring pants or shirts, because now look, when I go across, it doesn't look very elegant at all, because now that's just going to be a dark blotch. That's just going to be sitting there in between those three strands. It looks dumb. Or not very good. Because it might be forgivable if you actually do go over your lines again that have already dried. But if you already went in that following the strands of hair, it doesn't, you don't really notice it. But what you will notice is these. You can probably barely see that. You can probably barely see that, but it's still there. And then here, what I like to do, get out the fat side and just do this. Oh wow, that almost looks orange. Oh wow, that's weird. That actually looks orange. Alright. Enough of that side. Also, when these markers start to squeak, they might be getting low. Another good way of not getting that streak is going in circles. A lot of people like to do that up on the top of these, which works pretty well. Alright, now since you have the base of your hair down, what I like to do is I like to wait. Yes, I like to wait until the hair is dry. Because right now I just put it down, it's still kind of wet. So what I like to do is I like to wait. I want to wait until that hair is dry so that I don't get any unnecessary bleeding. Because the hair will bleed. I've had that happen before. It's not very good, and it really sticks out like a sore thumb. Kind of like when you go out of bounds whenever you're coloring. It sticks out a lot. Oh, and I missed the bottom part right here. Let me fix that. Yeah, I don't recommend these the Arts Loft markers. They're not the best markers. They're not very good at blending. They're a pain in the butt to get down on the paper, and you kind of need a bit of technique in order to get it down correctly. I mean, I got them because they're cheap. I got all 24 markers, about $110, which is quite cheap. And yeah, $110 Canadian, by the way. So very, very cheap. Alrighty. Now, dark marker. This one's just a little darker than the other one. And you just want to find places where shading would be necessary. Like right here. This is under the hair. This is facing down. There's most likely going to be shade here for the hair. You don't necessarily have to color it all in either. So usually you'd like use shade up here, and depending on how you want your hair to be shaded, you could either do little strands like so, just make the hair pop out a little bit, or you want to go full on bam. Meaning, instead of doing little teeny strands, you just kind of like the way I did the skin here. Just draw a big solid line and color it all the way in. Just whatever you do, try not to color over the highlights, because they're there as highlights and you don't want to put dark next to highlights. That would be kind of bad. Judging from the way I did this hair, I didn't do very well with giving places to shade darker shades of red. Basically, you just want to try to go on the sides. Maybe you can look up some references on anime, or maybe I'll just show you a quick picture right now. Here's a good example. This is Taiga. So, see here how I start at the top of where I went up with this strand of hair. I extended it just a little bit, but I basically go all the way down to my shade, right down to the tip. But it's kind of like a half and half. Same thing here. I go up to the side, and I go down right down to the tip. Here, I kind of tried doing the same, but then I stopped at the highlight because you don't want to do anything with the highlight. So yeah, that's a pretty good example, right at this part. See if I can find something else. Here's a good example too. With Hakua, you have right here the strands, this side to this side, and it goes all the way down. I didn't quite bring it to the tip on this one. Alright, here we go. With this one, right here, strand to the side, and since the light's coming from this way, it's hitting her hair, and it's casting a shadow onto this strand right here, because it's over. Once you get used to coloring in hair and stuff, you'll start to get it. So I think that about wraps up the video. If you have any questions, please ask me a question down there. Or even if you want to recommend any tutorials, I could do them for you if you guys really want one. So, see you guys later.